Clara brushed her lips softly against my temple. Just a quick trip with my friends, she murmured, her familiar, polished grin flashing as it had countless times before. I gave a quiet nod, my eyes following her as she pulled her luggage toward the door. She thought her story was airtight, that I'd be here, patiently waiting for her return. She was mistaken. The moment the door clicked shut, I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. For weeks, I'd noticed the secretive late-night messages she tried to hide. The extra care in her appearance on certain days, the sudden girls' nights, and work events, that always left a faint hint of a cologne that wasn't mine. Clara hadn't been subtle. She didn't think she needed to be. That was her critical error. I'd confirmed it all long ago, not with a detective, but by piecing together her contradictions. Her girls' trip was a lie. She was headed to an upscale resort 2 states over, meeting him, unaware that I knew everything and completely oblivious to what I had in store. I opened my notes app where every step was meticulously planned. My finances were already separated, bank accounts redirected, joint accounts closed. My name was off the lease. Every bill, every subscription, every service I'd covered was now hers alone. When she returned, she'd find more than an empty apartment. She'd find my entire existence erased. I moved through the rooms with calm precision. My clothes, my jackets, even the worn sweatshirt she loved to borrow were packed. In the bathroom, I collected my razor, my aftershave, the toothbrush tucked in the drawer. The fridge held none of my groceries. My furniture, half the pieces in the place, was gone. The television, my gaming system, even the coffee machine she relied on every morning. All mine, all removed. By the time I finished, the apartment felt like a model unit, sterile and detached, as if I'd never been part of it. A glance at my phone showed her check-in at the Coastal Haven Resort, blissfully unaware that her life was about to unravel. I placed the apartment key on the counter, gave the space one final look and walked out. No letter, no text, no grand gesture, just absence. Clara thought she could betray me and still return to the safety of my loyalty. She thought I was too steadfast, too reliable to ever leave. She misjudged me entirely. The door closed behind me, and for the first time in ages, I felt unburdened, as if I'd stepped into fresh air after being confined in a suffocating space. The fading sunlight bathed the parking lot in a warm glow as I walked to my car. This wasn't a rash choice. I hadn't acted impulsively. Every move had been calculated with care. The key on the counter was the final trace of me. Every other tie to that life had been cut. She'd have no way to reach me, no idea where I'd gone. That was by design. Behind the wheel, I glanced at the apartment one last time. So many moments were tied to that place. Shared laughter, quiet mornings, familiar routines. But those had faded long ago. Eroded silently as trust crumbled. The walls were never the soul of our home. That had been our love, our honesty. Both were long gone. I tapped my phone. Another update. Clara Bennett checked in. I gave a faint smile. She truly believed she'd pulled it off. Likely lounging by the pool, sipping a cocktail, sending me quick texts between moments with him. She thought I was still her fallback, her safe harbor. But I'd stepped out of that role. She was about to learn how thoroughly. I drove to my new place, a one-bedroom, bright and clean, entirely mine. No lingering traces of deceit in the corners, no echoes of what once was. The lease was in my name alone. The key felt cool in my palm. Stepping inside wasn't just a new beginning. It was a reclamation of myself. Later that night, as I unpacked, my phone vibrated. A message from Clara. Miss you already. Hope you're having a great weekend. Can't wait to see you soon. XX. The boldness of it made me chuckle. She was probably wrapped in a plush robe, toes in the water, sending that text to keep up her charade, thinking I was still naive. I didn't respond. There was no need. Reality would soon catch up with her. I switched off my phone, poured a drink, and settled onto my couch. For the first time in what felt like years, I was at peace, truly free. Clara's heels clicked down the hallway as she returned, her suitcase rolling behind her. The weekend had been flawless in her mind. Luxury, indulgence, the rush of her secret. She hadn't spared me much thought. I was her constant, the one she could always come back to. She reached the door, already composing a breezy text to me. something to mask her absence. But as she stepped inside, her fingers stilled. Something was wrong. The air felt off, unfamiliar. No trace of my aftershave lingered. The walls looked bare, stripped. She moved forward slowly, her suitcase catching at the threshold. A knot forming in her stomach as unease crept in. Something was gone. Everything was gone. And then it hit her. The couch was still there, exactly where it always stood, but the room felt wrong. The coffee table was bare. No notebooks, none of my usual mess. The blanket I always draped over myself while watching TV was missing. A nervous laugh slipped from her lips as she turned toward the bedroom. "Elliot," she called, half hoping I'd step out with my usual dry wit, maybe playing some elaborate prank. But the silence was heavy, oppressive, swallowing her voice. Her chest tightened as she entered the bedroom. And the truth struck her like a blow. The closet was nearly empty. My shirts, jeans, even the sneakers I kept pristine, gone. The drawers where I stored my watch and wallet were vacant. The framed photos of us, the one she'd dusted just days ago, were missing. Panic surged as she rushed to the bathroom, yanking open drawers and cabinets. Nothing. My razor, my toothbrush, the aftershave she used to mop, all gone. She stumbled back, her breathing shallow, her heart pounding. She grabbed her phone, scrolling frantically. No new messages from me. No missed calls. With shaking hands, she dialed my number. One ring, two, then voicemail. "No, this isn't happening," she whispered, trying again. Voicemail. Dread settled in. She hurried to the kitchen counter, sifting through mail, bills, junk, anything with my name. But there was nothing. Not a single trace of me. I hadn't just left. I'd erased myself entirely. Clara clutched the counter, her knees weak, the apartment feeling hollow, foreign. She couldn't catch her breath. She opened her phone again, tapping through old messages. Just last week, I'd texted her. "Need anything from the market?" So ordinary, so dependable, safe, predictable Elliot. But now I was gone, and that reliability felt like something she'd taken for granted until it vanished. She sent a text, hands trembling. "Elliot, what's going on? Where are you? Call me." She stared at the screen, waiting for a read receipt, a typing indicator, anything. Nothing. The message lingered, unanswered, like a ghost. She wasn't used to being ignored. Clara had always known how to spin the narrative, how to tilt things in her favor. But this was uncharted territory. She tore through the apartment, opening drawers, checking cabinets, desperate for some sign I hadn't truly left. But every clue pointed to the same truth. I had wiped myself from her life. Even the streaming accounts were locked out. Her name was the only one on the lease now. She felt herself coming apart. The cold fear wasn't just guilt, it was loss. I must have known. Of course I had. I'd been planning this, probably for weeks, observing her, waiting, letting her think everything was still fixable. She sank onto the couch, hands pressed to her face, trying to piece it together. How long had I been preparing? All those moments I didn't argue, when I stayed silent instead of pushing back. Was that indifference? No, it was strategy. Her phone buzzed. Her heart leapt. A message from Mia. Clara barely registered answering. "Hey, how was your trip?" Mia's voice was bright, oblivious. "Fine," Clara lied, her tone flat, strained. Mia rambled on about brunch plans, someone's party, but Clara couldn't focus. She stared at the empty corners of the apartment, the blank spaces on the walls. Her stomach twisted. "Elliot's gone," she blurted, cutting Mia off. A pause. "Gone? What do you mean?" Clara's grip on the phone tightened. "He left. Took everything. Cancelled it all. Like he was never here." Her voice broke. Mia gasped softly. "So he knows." Clara didn't respond immediately. Admitting it would make it real. She scanned the room again. The sharp emptiness screaming louder than any fight they'd ever had. I'd vanished without a shout, without tears, just a quiet, deliberate exit. Mia's voice softened. "This is bad." "No kidding," Clara muttered, scrolling through old texts, searching for something to cling to. But there was nothing. No reply, just the echo of my absence. "Maybe you need some space," Mia suggested, her tone uncertain. Clara let out a bitter laugh. This wasn't spur of the moment. He planned it. Waited until I was gone. Made sure I couldn't stop him. Mia hesitated. So what now? Clara stood, pacing like a trapped animal. I have to find him. Talk to him. He can't just disappear. He owes me that. Mia's voice was gentle but firm. I don't think he does. Maybe he realized he didn't owe you anything. Maybe he was done with the lies. Maybe he knew you wouldn't change. Clara froze, her stomach lurching. I was her constant, her steady anchor. I wasn't supposed to leave. I wasn't supposed to vanish. Then her phone buzzed. A text. Her breath caught. She opened it. Message failed to send. You've been blocked. Her vision blurred, her hands numb. I wasn't waiting. I wasn't coming back.